Back when I started this channel around the beginning of this season, one of my first videos was breaking down some of the worst contracts that were handed out this past offseason, and while I included Jordan Poole in that video for reasons I'll explain further in this, I actually thought the worst contract on that list from the past offseason was Tyler Herro in the $130 million contract the Miami Heat gave him in an early extension to his rookie deal, because while I did think Poole's contract would be regrettable, there was something to be said about a player who was just coming off a championship run and a big piece for the Warriors in that title, while Herro seemed to me more like a guy that would be a contract year player, and once he got paid he would regress a bit and not really live up to the potential or the value of his overall contract. But Tyler Herro actually had a solid season. I would say he's probably overpaid still, but he's actually exceeded my expectations in being a capable starter for the Miami Heat. Whereas I saw him more as a player who really just thrived in a six-man role but was actually average when going up against other starters, so why would you pay a massive contract like that to a player who is coming off the bench? But Herro was great. Obviously, he still has his flaws, especially on the defensive end, but overall, he's been very impressive to me. Jordan Poole, on the other hand, that contract has now looked like the worst one given out this past offseason, and it's gotten especially bad on his performance thus far in the postseason, in which Jordan Poole has become unplayable in late game situations in must-win games for the Warriors. $140 million to a player you gave a contract to is riding the bench in the fourth quarter because you can't trust him to make smart plays and knock down shots at critical times. What happened? And what does it mean for Jordan Poole and his future with the team? If you're new to the channel and you like this type of content, then feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a video, and in return, I'll be providing more NBA content like this. Now, to be fair, Jordan Poole and what he's been able to do in the NBA has been quite the success story for a player who was selected late in the first round, struggled in his rookie season a bit to where he spent some time in the G League, and then started showing some great flashes of potential in that season where Curry had made his return after missing most of the prior year, seemed to be fitting the mold of the Warriors and what they like to do on the offense, run and gun, high volume shooters with great ball handling skills reminiscent to a young Steph Curry. Poole then breaks out in his third season, putting up his best numbers yet on much better efficiency. Of course, he's instrumental in the Warriors' run in the championship. And then going into the offseason, the Warriors had some tough decisions to make. They knew that Draymond was going to be going into the final year of his deal, at least before his player option anyway. They needed to think about extending Andrew Wiggins, who was arguably their second best player in that run. And of course, Jordan Poole, who was going to be in the final year of his rookie contract and would be set to become a restricted free agent if they didn't reach an agreement on an extension. So what do the Warriors do? Well, they extended both Andrew Wiggins and Poole on the same day. Poole getting a bigger deal than Wiggins at 4 years, $109 million for Wiggins, that is. Poole, $128 million over 4 years, and up to $140 million with incentives over the course of the contract. They offered more money to Jordan Poole than Andrew Wiggins. Now, you could argue, well, Poole's younger, more upside potential, he's a piece you can build around for the future. Wiggins is 28 and in the peak of his prime. It's not like he's going to suddenly be washed soon. And if anything, you should be focusing more of your efforts on Wiggins as your main piece once the big three of Curry, Thompson, and Draymond start to taper off. Poole is 24. It's not like he's that much younger than Andrew Wiggins and doesn't have the same all-around skill set as Wiggins does, who operates on both ends of the floor. At the end of the day, though, it doesn't really matter. The Warriors were able to keep Wiggins for the long term as well as Jordan Poole, but based on recent reporting, you can sense that there is tension now in the locker room around Jordan Poole and his poor performance. And the poor performance hits more with the rest of the team when your guy is getting paid fat sums of money to be bricking up shots when you need him the most in the postseason. But here's what gets me with the Warriors giving Poole the extension they did. Look, they know the Big Three dynasty days are eventually going to be coming to an end. Steph Curry is 35, still playing out of his mind, but he is 35, and Klay and Draymond are both 33, and for both of them, still playing well despite their age, but it's clear that their best days are behind them. And if Warriors fans are going to be honest with themselves, the post-Big Three era timeline that Bob Myers has put together for the future has been questionable, to say the least. First, people have to remember that as good of a GM as Bob Myers is and has been in assembling this Warriors team, let's also not forget that he was not the one who drafted Steph or Klay Thompson and was an assistant GM when they drafted Draymond Green. Him bringing in Kevin Durant was not impressive to me because KD was already on his way out of OKC and wanted to chase rings by joining the best team in basketball. That wasn't some masterful plan and strategy on the part of Myers to get Kevin Durant. And then you look at his recent draft picks, James Wiseman, second overall, they ended up trading him for parts. Kuminga, 7th overall, great promise. I do still think he has upside potential, but in a redraft, you're probably not taking Kuminga that high, especially when a guy like Franz Wagner was still on the board. Moses Moody was selected 14th. He's been pretty underwhelming. Damian Jones, Jacob Evans, again, late first rounders, but didn't amount to much in the NBA. And then the one gem that they did hit on, or so they thought, selecting Poole 28th overall. And because it was the first draft pick that they hit on, they got a little overzealous and overpaid for him way too early, paying him the kind of money you would pay for a franchise cornerstone. You're not paying a guy $30+ million a year to ride the bench and sit the whole fourth quarter in critical games. And this is what doesn't make sense to me. The Warriors did not have to offer Jordan Poole an extension this past offseason. Yes, he was extension eligible, and yes, I get that you don't want to run the risk of him hitting free agency and losing him for nothing, but the benefit of a player coming off their rookie deal is that they are a restricted free agent, meaning their current team has the ability to match any offer sheet they receive on the open market. And they also have the ability to offer more money than any other team, as well as maintain their bird rights. So for the Warriors, rather than paying him a massive contract for a pretty one-dimensional player who is a streaky shooter, you go into the final year of his deal. Have it be a prove-it season for Jordan Poole. That, hey, prove to us the great season you just had wasn't an isolated incident, that you can recreate what you did and get even better, showing further progress. And hell, if you do that, we'll give you an even bigger contract. And on top of that, the Warriors themselves determined the market value for Jordan Poole by offering him an early extension. While Poole had an incredible season in 21-22, I don't think most teams would have felt that he was worth $140 million. And the benefit of letting a player go to restricted free agency is that you let the market dictate his value. See what other teams are willing to pay for the services of Jordan Poole. And you have all the power in the world to be able to match and retain him for what the market says that he's worth, rather than you making that determination by offering him an early contract extension for a player that has only played 3 years in the NBA. And now, you're at a point where Poole's contract is going to be virtually untradeable at his salary if he keeps up this level of play. And you've got this big contract on your books that can hamstring you and prevent you from adding meaningful talent once the big three start riding off into the sunset of retirement. That being said though, while I don't think Jordan Poole is anywhere close to the contract he's been given, I do think what changed for Poole and how he's been showing up this season is when he got into that altercation with Draymond Green during training camp. Despite the fact that both guys have said they're behind it, they've made up, and while I'm sure some of that is true because you kind of have to when you're going to be playing on the same team together, I do still think deep down it's been festering. And it's been impacting Poole and his overall confidence. When you get punched in the face by one of your supposed leaders, a punch that was looking to be a knockout type punch, that's not something that is going to be easy to get over. And there will always be this sense of resentment even after an apology from Draymond Green. And it's why you're seeing Poole get into his head a bit when he starts missing shots, starts making poor decisions, bad shot selection, turning the ball over frequently, committing bad fouls, and really hurting the Warriors as a whole because of his play. He gets down on himself, tries to shoot his way out of it, which is never a good idea. Plays this hero ball like we saw in game 1 where he thought he was Steph Curry and launching a 3 from near half court to tie the game, and all of it has just been backfiring for Jordan Poole. And now people are looking at him as, hey, you got your bag, now you don't care anymore. I wouldn't characterize it that way. I actually do think Poole is passionate, he wants to win and wants to be great. The problem is that his confidence is shot right now. He doesn't have the highest IQ when he's on the court, and to be honest, he's just not as good as Warrior fans make him out to be. Still a good player, but people have these high expectations of Poole becoming this future superstar player, including the Warriors front office. When he doesn't show up well, he's trash, he's overrated. No, he's overrated because the front office gave him this big contract that he wasn't worth. But just like any one of us, we would have signed it, even if we knew it wasn't overpay. You can't really fault Jordan Poole for that. This is on the Warriors front office more than anything in getting too excited about finding their next franchise cornerstone and giving out a big contract way too early that I'm sure they're now regretting. Let me know what you guys think though in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.